Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from today. Today, we are going to be talking about how to turn on Copilot for Power BI. So, we get this question a lot, how to configure Copilot to use with Power BI, and especially now that we have Copilot at every capacity, it's a very easy choice. So, we are going to go through today how to configure Copilot for Power BI. This is part of our Crafting Value series where we share simple things that help you create value with Power BI and Microsoft Fabric. So today I'm joined here with Suleiman. Suleiman, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello everyone. Myself Soleiman Ahmed. I started my career as a statistical analyst. Right now, I'm working as an analytics engineer with the data crafters, and very happy to present with you all how to configure a Copilot for your business needs and generating insights.
All right, thanks, Raman. Again, my name is Khaled Chaudhary. I'm the principal at Data Crafters. I'm sort of an hybrid between data, finance, and CXO. I used to say external data professional, accidental entrepreneur, however you want to put it. But today, let's dive right in. So, first of all, just from an agenda perspective, we've gone through the introduction. We're going to go through a little bit of the introduction, a little bit of the reasoning, and the steps required to get Copilot working, right? And the key part that you should remember, take away two things. Copilot in Power BI is a Microsoft Fabric feature, right? And it's available at every single capacity, right? So it's no longer gatekept at F64. And the second part is once this turned on, you can make it work with your Power BI artifacts that's still stored in Power BI Pro or Premium per user workspaces, which is kind of amazing, meaning that you can use only Copilot for the the AI portion, but the compute for the model can still be powered by the standard Power BI engine. So with that, let's kind of jump right in. Uh, what is Copilot? So Microsoft gladly make it very confusing. There's every single thing that has a Copilot, but for today, what we're talking about, Copilot is the AI summary and conversational feature that exists in Fabric. And it has many experiences, but for our perspective, we're talking specifically to Power BI. And Copilot for Power BI essentially is an assistant that allows you to generate reports, trends, answer questions. And we're getting more and more features on what you can do with it. Anything you want to add, Suleiman?
I mean, as Copilot is expanding its capabilities to different scopes of Microsoft ecosystem, it's actually enabling to interpret different insights very quickly and very efficiently. And it helps, to be very honest, it helps a lot
All right,
in order to make decisions.
awesome. Okay, so as you we talked about, right? It's cost effective in the sense that you don't have to go do something else on top of it. But I think the biggest two value that I see with Copilot in Power BI is the security and compliance because your data is within Microsoft security and compliance and you're not sending it. And the OpenAI portion that we are leveraging for this is obviously within the secure blanket of Microsoft, meaning the data doesn't get sent to OpenAI to store and things like that. The second part essentially is that's very useful today is the executive productivity for the execs to get the information they need. Hey, what's the variant summary? Like, that one line you're trying to write. It works actually very well today already. And then it's decent at answering ad hoc questions, and one of the best part is actually shows you work. So today we're not actually going to go through as much on what you can do with it for that one. You can tune in next month where we're going to be doing tour of Power BI Copilot. But today we're just kind of giving, because we get this question so many times, how to turn it on. So that's what we're going to focus on today. One of the things to understand is that for us to get Copilot to work with data that's in your Pro or Premium per user workspace, you have to have Fabric Copilot capacity configured. Uh, oh boy, we got Alex Bars over here. It's nice to see you, Alex. Thank you for being here. So Fabric Copilot capacity is a feature where we can designate a specific capacity to answer all your Copilot questions. So that gets designated. So if regardless where the model is, if whether it's in Pro, Premium per user, or backed by any size Fabric capacity, we can designate a specific capacity to answer all your Copilot questions. This is what allows us to use it for with Pro and Premium per user and whatnot. So as we configure today, we are going to be configuring Fabric Copilot capacity so that we will show you how at the end of it that it works on a Pro and Premium per user workspace. Okay, so next up is essentially we just want to show you that if you have never created a Fabric capacity, you go to Azure portal, and as you can see the subscription, you got to pick a resource group and the sizing and whatnot, right? Obviously when you try to create it, it's going to try to create the biggest f64, but you don't have to. You can create what you need, and that's essentially the creation for the Fabric capacity. One of the errors that you might get, which is not addressed here, is essentially if you have a subscription that's old, you might not have Fabric registered as a service on the on the what is it called, your subscription. In that case, you just have to register it, and you can just Google that portion on how to register a service to a subscription and whatnot. But other than that, this should be a good place to start. Now we are gonna go through the steps. We're gonna go through enable Copilot and Azure OpenAI settings, right? So this is some of the tenant settings we have to do. After the tenant settings, we're gonna go through and do capacity designate as FCC. Once that is done, we have to assign which users have access to it, because without that, Fabric Copilot capacity will not deploy to specific users. And finally, instead of talking about this, let's jump into the screen and share from there. All right, Sulaiman, you're up.
Okay. Um, so I hope I'm audible. So I'll start. So at
We can
first
hear
we
you.
need to
Nice to
enter.
see you. We're looking at tenant settings for you.
Okay. So at first we need to enter our admin portal. So we can enter the admin portal from the settings and going to the admin portal. And in the tenant settings, if we just search for Copilot, then we have all our necessary settings in one view. So at first, we have to take care of these settings, and this must be enabled. This one is users can use Copilot and other features powered by Azure OpenAI. So this one must be enabled. And if you want a specific group of people to use it instead of your all the members in your organization, then you can also set up by selecting specific groups and then just enter the Microsoft Active Directory group thing. So for our current demonstration, we will keep it in the entire organization. After that, we have to figure out another option that is designated as Fabric Copilot capacity. This is basically the FCC designation option, and you have to take care of this one too and make sure that this one is also enabled. And same thing as before, that you can also apply it for all the members in your organization or a specific people, a specific group of people in your organization. So for the simplicity, I will keep it the entire organization. Apart from these two main settings, there are settings related to a region. So we actually suggest you to create your capacity in Central US or similar region. And if you set up your if you set up your capacity other than those regions, then you will have to come here and especially this one, processed outside your capacities geographic region, and make sure you have enabled these settings. So this allows the capacity to like work seamlessly with other regions also. So these are the settings we have to make sure to enable in our tenant settings.
And
After
one more
that,
thing,
we have
Sulaiman, you already turned on the standalone. Oh yeah, you did.
Uh, yes, yeah, it's in the very beginning.
Yeah, that's the one that
Okay.
allows us to
Um,
essentially use chat with your data.
yes. Okay. Moving on, we have to go to the capacity settings. So when you go to the capacity settings, you will see all your capacities here. But we need to enter the capacity we are actually trying to figure our Copilot in. So for our current example, we are going to enter the FCC test. So by clicking here. So if I click on the FCC test, then I will find all the capacity settings relevant, or sorry, not relevant, related to the capacity that I created. And here we have to work with this specific settings that is called Copilot capacity. This allows to uh, to actually um, how to put it, to actually
This allows
select
you to
specific
designate
users.
this. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
essentially, like once the thing is designated, but it specifically allows to specific users who have access. Right now, we
yeah,
cannot turn this on for entire organization.
yeah.
However,
This
we
one
can
does not
assign
work.
to a security group, right, Suleiman?
Yeah, yeah. So thank you for helping me out. So yes, this one is actually you are designating your the capacity to specific users or a group of users. So you can either input specific user emails, or you can input here a whole security group here. So for our current example, let me add myself and also Khaled, and I will just click on apply. So in this portion or in this page, we just have to do these settings. So right now, let's go to our workspace. So we have this workspace setup, and let me show you that this workspace is running at Pro license, Power BI Pro license. And if I go to the report that I have it opened here. So initially, when the Copilot capacity was not designated to me, Sulaiman Ahmed, it's actually looking like this. But if I do a refresh, now as you can see, the Copilot button got activated for us. Now, I think we can move on to see the
You can
Copilot
just
in
click
action.
on it and just maybe just summarize the report page or something like that.
Yes. So when I click on the Copilot button, as we can see, it's actually recommending us some predefined questions like summary, what the report is actually showing us, what the report page is about, and also some other predefined questions related to data. And if you want to dig deeper, then you can actually specify your question and ask your question. So let's see what happens if I click on prep a summary for my team. So this is the predefined prompt, executive summary of this report, be concise, use a bulleted list.
All right. This is good. I think let's click on the Copilot button on the left side just to showcase the experience for the chat with your data. We're going to go a lot more into it when we do the session next month.
Yeah, so this is actually the
Oops,
output
sorry, give me
we
one
have.
second. I gotta fix your stage. Yeah. So if you click on the Copilot button on the top left,
Yeah,
yeah, so that is essentially the new experience when we turned on the standalone feature. This essentially
yeah,
allows us to have the discussion, like instead of kind of going to a semantic model, you start off with the central and find the model you have, and you can have a questions like a lot more upfront without going to a specific model. And maybe it's just a place you go ask, like, hey, what do I have access to, right? So this is a good place to get started from that perspective. All right, so I think as you can see, right, this was meant to be a short presentation and whatnot. So that is how you turn things on. So let me just go back to our slides for a second. So this is essentially what you pay for it. So this is based on South Central and whatnot. That's mostly the same price, except if you go to the West, where an F2 at $262 or even at reservation $156, you can have Copilot turned on. From my perspective, regardless where you are, if you need Fabric or not, this is a no-brainer to turn the Copilot features on, to test things out, and how you can leverage them. Um, so that's kind of that. And as we were kind of mentioning, what you can do with it from a tour of Power BI Copilot on terms of capabilities, because we have done this about last year, and a lot have changed. So we're gonna redo that in next month. I think it's on July 17th. It is on July 17th, and then if you wanna join, here's a code. Sorry, QR code to join the presentation next month, and let us know if you have any questions. Let's see. So Gregory mentioning that it's been a minute. Yes, things kind of change really fast today's world. Um, so from that perspective, things are changing faster and faster. So yes, we're covering Copilot capabilities next month. So what you can do with your chat with your data, both from a developer perspective. Sorry, that's more for a consumption perspective, but as developers, how we can leverage Copilot and whatnot. So we're going to go through that next month, and little bit teaser coming down the pipe in summer. We're going to talk about data agents and whatnot, but that is purely in the realm of fabric. But we wanted to kind of get you started with, for the majority of people who are on Power BI, how they can get Copilot started on their side. Again, thank you very much for joining, and Suleiman for putting the work together in putting the presentation and all the demo. And with
Yeah,
that,
thank you very much.
thank you everyone for joining. See you next time.